Hello and welcome to this session of the Make Do Create program. It is session 4 of your iPad music production course with me, Graham Ginty. Okay, in this one we're going to have a look at using some of the synths that come with GarageBand, but also how to use some external synths to bring in some additional sounds that you don't get with GarageBand. So we're going to open up our GarageBand session here, but just to give you a wee bit of a heads up, we are going to be, if I skim through my music folder here, we're going to also be using this one here, which is called Synth One. This is a free synthesizer, so if you want to copy along with this tutorial directly, then go and grab that. But there are lots of different synthesizers that are out there that will plug into GarageBand or we can use within GarageBand. This Synth One is free, so that's why we're using it tonight. But what you can do is just go online, look up or search up inter-app audio and compatible apps with GarageBand, and you'll get a whole list of them that will come up in the Google search. So it's inter-app audio and compatible apps GarageBand, and you'll get lots of different apps that will come up. I'll talk you through this again once we get to it within the video, but just giving you a heads up, this is the one we're going to be using in this video. If you want to go and grab it, pause the video, download it, and then come back and start again. Okay, so let's go back here into GarageBand. So here's my track from last week, my MDC track. I'm going to click on that and open it up. Okay, so last week we then had a look at editing the beats, bringing in some hi-hats, recording some beats with the drum machine, and then we brought in our little synth part here and edited it. So let's have a quick refresher of what that sounds like. Okay, cool. So I think the thing that it's missing is a bass line. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to add in a new track, and we're going to click on this little plus button here. And then we're going to scroll through, and the first thing that we're going to have a look at is the onboard synth that comes with GarageBand, which is pretty cool. It's this one here, our Alchemy synth. So scroll through till you get to keyboard. Alchemy synth is the one that we want. We're going to click on that. So there's lots of different sounds that we can pick from here. And we do that by clicking up here. And then this gives us our browser where we can choose lots of different sounds. So I can click on a new sound here. It will load the sound into the synth, and then I can just click on a key. Like so, or I can change it to maybe a bass sound. So I can click on bass up in here. Select a bass that I want. Like that. Or we can go for arpeggiated sounds, and arpeggiator just means that it will repeat the sound. So if I then select an arpeggiator from here, let's choose this one. Hear that? So it's got like a rhythm in it. So I can scroll through and pick a couple of other ones. Like so. So you can then pick whatever you want from any of these sounds. So I'm going to go back into bass because I think we need a bass sound. And let's scroll through here and see what we've got. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to click on that one, and we're going to select that sound. So now what we can do is we can press the play button, and then just play the synth on top of that and see what it sounds like. One thing I'm just going to double check, I'm going to go back into my settings here, and I can see that my key signature is A minor. So A minor is all the white notes starting from here. So this is the A note here. So we can actually move the octave up and down. We can use these little buttons here, which will move the octave up and down if I click on them. So I can go down an octave or go up. Like that. What I can also do, there's a couple of different settings here we can change. So there's some presets for this bass sound here. So you can play around with these as well. I can click on this. And that will just change some of the parameters within that particular sound. You can just play around and see which one you like. You can change these after the fact as well, so you're not stuck with what you've got. But I like this basic one, like so. So what I can do is then make sure that take this back to the beginning, press the play button, and then I can just practice playing a little bass line that I want from my synthesizer. So I think I'm going to go for that. So it's good to try to experiment, see how different kind of things sound, different rhythms, different notes, things like that. But I think I've decided on that last one that I was playing. So I'm going to take this back to the start. I'm going to hit this red record button. It's going to give me a countdown from 4, and then I'm going to play just what I was playing there. I'll show you in a minute here, but you're not stuck with what you record. You can edit it after the fact. So let's have a look at how we do that. So I'm going to record here first. There we go. So now it's gone back to the green. It's finished recording along here. It's now turned green. It's going to be playing. So what I want to do is then go back to where my arrangement is and then see what's going on within that loop. So here now is the loop that I've recorded. And I can take this back to the start, press play, and see how it sounds. There we go. I think that sounds pretty good. But there are a couple of things that you can do here. If you play some notes and they're wrong, you can just click on this, click on it again, delete, and then go back to the start of the process and just record another loop. That's perfectly fine. But what you can do also is scroll over to here and go to settings. And then there's this little section called Quantization. Now what Quantization does is it'll take notes that are played a little bit wrong. So say your rhythm just isn't great, you're playing some notes, you're hitting those keys, and your rhythms just aren't right on the money, but you're kind of there, then you can click Quantization, and what that will do will take all your notes that are slightly out of sync with the rest of the tune and then just lock them all in so they're perfectly in sync. So we can do that by clicking on Quantization, and then sort of standard quantization for electronic music anyway, is going to be 16th notes. So we just click on 16th notes, and then that will lock all those notes into place. And then we can make sure that they're playing in time. Like that. What you can also do is if you click on here, click again, go to Edit, and it opens up the notes like this. So now we can see a much kind of closer version of the notes themselves. So you can see you've got along the left hand side here, this is what's called a piano roll, like that. And you can see where your notes have actually been played, and we can do a couple of different things with these here. So what I want to do is click this little pencil in the top left and just slide that over. Now that means that I'm now editing these notes. So I can click on this one and drag it up and down. So say I don't want it to play this note here, which is the E. Say I wanted to play it up a wee bit higher. And then if I want this one to play the E instead, and then I can take this back to the start and see what it sounds like. Like so. So let's move these back down. I think I prefer that down there, back down there. But what we can also do is to change the length of the note. So you can see here at the end, it's a wee bit fiddly. You've got tiny little, once you select the actual note itself, oops, let me just undo that. I deleted that note by mistake. I'm going to click the little undo button here. That'll bring that back. So once you click on a note, you can, oops, let me undo. Once you click on a note, you get a little double arrow here, so little white arrows there. You can click on that and that allows you to change the length of the note, like so. So if I wanted this one to maybe come in a wee bit later, I could change the length of this and then just drag it over like so. And then this one I could click on and then drag that out. So that we're just making this note a little bit longer and then this note a little bit shorter. And let's hear how that sounds. So I think maybe we could take this one out to here. This one, we can make another wee bit shorter again, and then drag him over like so. Like that, and just play around with it. You can put in some additional notes as well. So say I wanted to put in a little A note here, I can just click in that blank space. Let's make that a little bit shorter. So I'm just going to grab that, make that a little bit shorter. We'll get that to move up like that, and then we'll see what this sounds like. There we go. So I heard that. I thought that sounds pretty great. I'm then going to do the same thing here. So we've got a D note playing here. I put another D note up in here, and we can play that around. I think it sounds pretty good now. So I'm going to click the Done button, which means that that has now edited like so. And now we can play around. Like that. So I think that sounds pretty good. I'm happy with that. Next thing that I'm going to do is add another instrument. So I'm going to click on this one. This time I'm going to scroll through until we get to this section. And this is the inter-app audio that I was talking about earlier. So this is inter-app audio. So we want to click on this one, and it's going to give us a list of all the different apps that are on my iPad that I can use as inter-app audio. So I'm going to click on this. And there we go. So here are all the different apps that I've got on my iPad currently that will allow me to record sound from those apps directly into GarageBand. So I'm going to select this one, which is the AudioKit Synth One. And that is then going to load that app up. Like so. It's going to come up then with the actual synth itself loaded. Like so. So you can kind of load this up separately, just play around with it. This is just a synthesizer. There's lots of different functions here. We don't really have the time to go into what they all are, but what I'm just going to show you is this section up the top here, which is where all the different presets are. So we can kind of scroll through these presets, have a look at what we've got going on. Click this. Each one of these banks will have a different set of presets in it. So I'm just going to choose one here. Once we click on it, it'll load it in, and then we can click on the space here, or the name on here again. That'll just close that down. We can go back to where our synth is. So I think that sounds pretty awesome. So what we can then do is we can record this into GarageBand by playing GarageBand and then recording the sound. But the one thing that we need to change is that this has got an arpeggiator on it, which means that it repeats the notes whenever I hold this note down. And that arpeggiator is currently working at 100 BPM, and I want to change that. So I'm going to move this up, and we're going to change that to the same tempo as our GarageBand track, which I think is 120. But I'm just to be on the safe side, I'm going to check. So you can see within this app, you've got this little GarageBand icon here. That is telling you that this synthesizer is now playing in conjunction with GarageBand. And if we click on this, we can pop back into the GarageBand app, and we can see what our settings are. So I'm going to click here, and we can see 120 BPM, A minor. So we can also see our little synth app here. So I click on that, it takes me back into the synthesizer, and that is now 120 BPM. So that's fine. So whenever I play GarageBand, this will be in time. Like that. So what I can then do is if I go back into GarageBand here, I can then just click the record button and then pop into this app and then just record some of this sound. But what we really want to do is to make sure that we press, once we're in our synth app here, make sure we press the button, sorry, the note on the keyboard, as in time as we can possibly get it with the GarageBand beats, so that we don't have to do that much editing afterwards. So I'll show you what I mean in a wee minute. So I'm going to just go back into GarageBand. I'm going to hit record here. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to record a couple of bars of this, so I don't have to worry about it playing right from the start. I can just record a couple of bars whenever I'm ready, and then I can go in and edit it. So if I click on this button here to record, and then whenever I'm ready, I'm just going to hit this note. Like that. So now whenever I go back into GarageBand, I can go up to where my arrangement is, and you can see that I have now recorded some audio in. So whenever I press play, like that. So it'll play the sound that you've recorded. So I do need to do a little bit of tinkering with this because it's not quite in sync. And I'm going to show you, if I just zoom in as close as I can there, that it's not quite in sync. So once, and I've just used 2 fingers there to sort of pinch that screen in and out, so that you can get into that note and you can see what's going on. So you can see that there is where all the beats are kind of lined up like that. But if you look down here, you can see there's a little bit of gap. And that just means that I didn't press that key just as quite as quickly as I would have liked to. So what I'm going to do is going to move this right over to where the start of the note is, like so. And then I'm going to use the same split technique that I used in a previous video. So select the note, or select the audio sound, and click split, and then drag that down like so. So I can now click on this one and delete it. It's just silent, there's nothing in there, I don't need it. And then I can drag this one back to the lock into the grid. Now you will be able to see at the top here it says snap to grid off. That means as soon as you kind of zoom in as much as you can, it'll turn the grid off because it'll allow you to kind of slide this around without it locking into the grid. So what we want to do is to zoom back out a wee bit, so then this will lock into the grid. So if I move this play locator just out of the way here, we don't want it to slide, we want it to lock in like so. So you can see whenever that locks in, it's then just snapping right into exactly the same point of where all those beats are, like so. So now I only want maybe 1 bar of this, so I'm going to scroll up here, I'm going to pull this down, maybe even 2 bars, like that, just by dragging the end. Pull this back like so, and then let's just take this back to the start and have a listen. Yeah, that sounds like it's pretty synced up to me. So I'm going to click on this, hit the loop button, then loop that up. So last thing that I want to do then is just dip the volume of this a little bit. So you can remember from the previous video, we just changed the volumes ever so slightly. I think this is quite loud, so I'm just going to turn it down a little bit and let's have a listen. There we go. So well, there is further mixing that we need to do with those volume controls, but we're going to have a look at that in a later video. All right, that's it for this video then. Just a quick recap. We opened up a track and we used the synth here to record in a MIDI bass line. And then we created a second track, and it was our inter-app audio track. And we loaded up our AudioKit Synth One into that track. Selected a little preset from up here, and then just played those sounds while we were recording. So we went into the GarageBand icon, hit our record button, and then played those sounds. And then finally, we just used some of our basic editing techniques to make sure that that little loop was perfectly in sync with everything else, and then just dragged it back to the start, looped it up, and there we go. We've got an amazing part. So now we have our drums, we've got our little synthy stab thing here, a little beep. We've got our bass line, we've got a big synth part. I think we've pretty much got everything that we need for this, for the guts of this song. So in the next video, we're going to have a look at how we take these loops and turn them into a song that has a beginning, middle, and end. Because at the moment, we're still working within that framework of 8 bars like this. So remember, earlier on, I said that there are lots of apps that will work with inter-app audio. It's not just going to be this one. There will be lots of them. So just get yourself on Google, search for inter-app audio apps, and then go and download some. But as I say, this Synth One is a good one to start with because it is free, where the other ones you might have to pay for. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. So the only last thing that I'm going to do, as always, we don't want to lose this work, is going up to the left-hand corner, clicking the Save button, and that's us sorted. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. In the next video, yeah, we're going to have a look at doing some arrangement. But in the meantime, if you're creating some beats, you're making songs or anything like that, you want to send us some stuff, that would be absolutely awesome. Check out the email address that's up on the screen at the moment. It's tanya@wheelworksarts.com. Send them over to there. You can get featured on our website. We'd love to hear what you are doing. And last but very not least, we would love you to subscribe. So get onto the YouTube channel that you're watching this video on, click on that subscribe button. There are loads of other videos out there on that channel, lots of other amazing homegrown artists from Northern Ireland showing you how to do lots of awesome creative stuff during this lockdown period. So get yourselves on there, check out the videos, subscribe. There's a brand new video 7 p.m. every night from a different artist showing a different artistic technique, and they're all brilliant. So get on there and check them out. All right, thanks very much. We will see you next week. Bye.